Hey, Wixman Ray here. Today is Thursday, almost the end of the week, February 5th, 2026. Hey, I've got the satellite up for you guys. We're looking over this is the North Pacific Ocean. Um, this is the infrared satellite, so this is showing you the cloud temperatures. So yeah, these are higher clouds and storms going across the North Pacific. This is just north of the Hawaiian Islands, which are right down here. So there's a cold frontal system moving through here, wrapping up into this big thing, and you see that swirl. That's a low pressure sitting out over the middle of the ocean there. And then back here, you can kind of see how this goes down and comes up. This is what we call a trough back here. And then you see all this moisture here on the satellite streaming up into Canada and then kind of coming over and then back down into the, Minnesota, up northern plains area. Um, that's that big ridge we were talking about yesterday, that ridge of high pressure. So there's a high pressure out over the Great Basin, and so it's just kind of pushing all the moisture up and around. And then kind of underneath here, what happens a lot is when you get a pattern like this, a real strong upper level ridge, a lot of times storms will come across here and they'll undercut the ridge. And then that's what you got here. You got a little bit of a low pressure spinning out here. Not a lot of moisture with it, but you can see some clouds. There might be a little bit of precip with this, but um, this part of the Pacific, you just don't get a lot of the temperatures on the ocean are a little cooler through here, and there's not a lot of energy going on here. So yeah, these are pretty weak systems for the most part. Yeah, and then what you're seeing way down here, this is what we call the intertropical convergence zone. So this is, maybe near or just north of the equator. I don't have my, it's near the equator, anyways. That's where a lot of storms are always forming out along that area where the winds from the Southern Ocean, Southern Pacific kind of collide with the winds, the trade winds kind of come down like this, and then I believe these winds come like this, and you can see that with the clouds here, with how these clouds are coming this way, and these are kind of coming this way, and they converge, and these are big thunderstorms that are always going on in parts of the tropics here. You could probably say why isn't going on here? Yeah, it's hard to say. Probably just some stability in there. Not a lot of real good convergence going on at the time. So, yeah, anyways, that's just a quick summation. Um, yeah, and then kind of see this feature here. This is cold air coming down out of Russia, Siberia, Kamchatka area, and down into past the Bering Sea and down into the North Pacific. So that's what you see going on there. And so that's just the quick nutshell version with the satellite I wanted to show you. Um, yeah, since we were looking over the ocean, this is Honolulu, so they're 65. A little cool this morning, in the 60s for Hawaii there. It looks like 67 at the Big Island, 62 up at Kauai at Lihu, or I think that's how you say the name of the airport there. This is Midway Island, so there's the frontal system sits somewhere in between Midway Island and north of the Hawaiian Islands. So, yeah, and you can see down here, you see all these 70s and 80s, that's where that tropical air always is. Fronts don't usually get way down this far south. It would be very, very rare if they did. Don't usually see them down there. Then we're looking up here at Alaska. I wanted to show you this. Pretty warm up around Anchorage. They're 33. There's some rain. Most of this is rain. The mountains are definitely getting snow. They have the coastal range through here, and they get cope hundreds of inches of snow. I mean, there's just permanent glaciers up here. If you've ever flown up there, you've seen them, but on a clear day. But yeah, look at that. I mean, most of these are in the 40s, 30s, and 40s, and reporting rain. And the thing that'll happen a lot here in Alaska when you get this kind, so you have Seward here, Valdez over here. Um, when they're above freezing and raining, sometimes the ground will still be frozen because you're up in Alaska and you have a low sun angle, not much insulation from the sun. So this rain will freeze up, the surfaces and cause some freezing rain. So yeah, that can be a little dicey for the roads. So definitely one of those situations going on there. Relatively mild across Alaska for February, beginning of February. Even up at Fairbanks, they're 8 degrees, so that's probably about normal for them, especially after they had the minus 60s earlier in the winter last month, I think it was, into December. So, all right, we'll zoom through this real quick. Not much going on in the west. Some patchy fog, like at Eugene, and then there's that the fog going on in the Central Valley again, the Tule fog. Although it's not real widespread like it normally is, but it's still out there. Um, yeah, relatively starting to warm up real nice. Look at this through the plains, 40s and 50s, even up into North Dakota, 44. Even up here in the International Falls, it's near freezing. So very mild for February up north. As you head down south, it's still a little cooler back here. Look at that, 30s in the southeast, 40s at Jacksonville. So the cold air's back in the southeast part of the U.S. So got a little bit of rain going on here for Florida. That's what that front that's moving through. You can kind of see out ahead of it. Miami's still 74, but behind it it's in the 50s and low 60s. So yeah, so they're going to cool down for a day and then start to return to better weather for the weekend, especially starting Friday across Florida. So yeah, so another day or two of cold and then it'll return to normal. The rest of the northern part, nothing unusual, upper teens to 20s. A little bit of light snow with this little clipper system going through, but relatively quiet across the U.S. Go ahead and show you the models here. So this is for today. We've got that little clipper I showed you, and then this front that's moving through Florida. By this evening and tonight, this system will move offshore. And then we have some lingering light snow up across the Great Lake area. And that'll kind of continue through Friday into Saturday. And it'll get a little bit colder up here. So this is where all the cold air will reside for the weekend. But the rest of the U.S., you see all these red. These are the basically telling you how warm it's going to be, but it's the thickness lines. But yeah, that's where all the warm weather is going to be relatively for this time of year. Above normal, anyways, or near normal. Yeah, as we move into late Saturday, looks like Saturday, the rain moves back into Pacific Northwest. Nothing going on back here, so we'll focus on the west for a little bit. So Sunday, it looks like this system presses inland into the northern Rockies. You're going to see some snow and rain from northern California up through Idaho or northern Idaho. As we head through the day on Monday, it looks like some rain and snow across northern Nevada, and it moves up into the northern Rockies and Montana. And then Tuesday, that kind of presses across here. So there might be some snow, some moisture out here. There's a lot of model differences as we get past Monday, really. I mean, it starts about Monday, so that's kind of unusual. That's only a few days out, but a lot of model differences on what the systems are going to do out west. But the general trend is it's going to have some sort of storm with low pressure troughing through at least this part of the west near California and these parts of Nevada. So, but this is the GFS model depicting, they're showing some good rain going across California, at least northern half through early in the week. So, but we'll kind of come back. This is Monday evening, afternoon. Well, yeah, evening basically. I want to show you. This is what the European model is. So it's pretty similar, here. They got something going on, but you kind of look forward here. Yeah, they got the same idea, but it starts to kind of show some differences in what's going on. So I'm not real confident in. Whoops, sorry. The exact forecast for the west. I think this area, pretty good chance of snow and rain up in here, depending on what the snow levels are for the high elevations. But yeah, once you get past here, there's a little bit of differences. You can see the European model gets Southern California into all this rain, while we saw on the other model. We'll just kind of go back to this is Tuesday morning. You kind of see, yeah, there's nothing there really. They got it coming in later, like on Wednesday, so 24-hour difference or so. So there's some model differences, so I'm not real confident on the timing, anyways, of this stuff, especially after Monday. I think they're pretty, pretty good. Gosh, dang it. Sorry. Dang thing keeps freaking messing up on me. Keep hitting the wrong thing. So I'm pretty confident through Monday with this kind of depiction out here in the northern Nevada up into the northern Rockies. But after that, I'm not real confident on when the rain's going to arrive for California, as you see those differences between Tuesday and Wednesday between the models. Elsewhere, um, there's a system moving, starting into Texas on Tuesday and kind of trucking across the southeast or the eastern half of the United States. There's also differences in this, but I will show you something here. So we'll go, this is Tuesday afternoon, so I'm going to go and show you what the upper levels of the atmosphere are showing at 500 millibars. So this is our 500 millibar winds. Then it kind of shows the heights. So this is where we can see our troughs and ridges, where troughs and low pressure are associated with low pressure, ridges are associated with high pressure. So anyway, so this is for Tuesday evening. So you can see there's something, and all this kind of yellowish, orangish, reddish stuff. This is where there's going to be some sort of they call it vorticity. Basically, it's cyclonic flow in the atmosphere that'll cause lift and clouds and possibly precipitation. So there's something here in Texas, a little bit of something up here in Canada that might bring a little. It's kind of weak, but there's some activity up here in the northern part of the U.S. Um, got this back in the Northeast, and then you see here what you got is you got a trough kind of offshore. According to this is the GFS American model, so this is showing we've got moisture moving in and clouds and possibly some precip as you see this what we call the vorticity coming in through the western part of the U.S. here. And so I'll compare that to, let's look at the European here. So the European model, so you can see there's some differences. They show a little weak thing farther north, but a little more pronounced ridge of high pressure up north. They do have this feature, but if you notice, it's a little farther west, so there's some timing differences. So basically, what tell that's okay. Let's spit this out right. So this is telling us that there's going to be some sort of storm out here, but we're not real confident on the timing yet because it's still 3, 4, 5. What are we, about 5 days out still? This is, yeah, about 5 days out. So yeah, so there's still some differences out here. You remember the American model didn't even show this. It was way out here probably. They've got this trough of low pressure moving into California, and that's why you saw those differences on. That's why you had the European having the rain coming in on Tuesday instead of, because this is Tuesday evening instead of Wednesday. So, anyways, that I'm just showing you this uncertainty. And then another thing we like to look at is the ensemble forecast and what this is. So this is the ensemble for the European, and you can see there's troughing of low pressure. So that kind of agrees with what the European is saying. And this is a European. But this takes several, I can't remember the exact number, but it takes um, sometimes hundreds of different model runs and kind of blends them together and gives you I guess you could call it an average or a mean forecast of what's going to happen. And so that's their best, guess according to the models. But this gives you more confidence maybe in the European just looking at that ensemble. But if you look, this is the GFS ensemble, the GEFS we call it. Yeah, there's some troughing in there, maybe a little different, slightly different from the other. And then the GAPS, which I always forget which one's which, but this takes all the North American models. It takes the American and the Canadian model and blends them all together. So you can kind of see that same idea. So this makes me kind of believe that maybe The European might be on track a little better, so maybe the rain will come in here Tuesday. I mean, at this point, this is what I'd lean towards, but definitely some uncertainty on timing of rain out on the West Coast and when it's going to arrive, and also the location to some degree. But yeah, so I wanted to kind of show you that. That's kind of gives shows you the challenge sometimes we have with weather. Especially when it comes off the ocean. You got a data. It's called a data sparse area, so there's not any observations out over the water. There's very few. You don't have any weather balloons. We basically got satellite, and, a couple other things, but really not a lot of data to go with. Satellite's your big one. So yeah. So anyways, I think that's all I've got for you guys today. I just wanted to show you that. Yeah. But back just So I kind of covered it. Yeah. So, okay. Anyways, we're done. I just wanted to say I appreciate you guys subscribing, and sorry I got a little disjointed here at the end, getting my train of thought all out of whack. But appreciate you following me, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you do like this content, and this is Wixman Ray out.